If we couldn't depend on technology to find information that we're needing, such as YouTube, such as Googling something if we had a question about it, what if we wanted to see if this plant was edible or not? What vegetables grow and how they grow and when they grow? Those are all valid points. How can we get that knowledge? Well, today we're going to talk about some books that you need to purchase, not only as a prepper, as someone who is trying to live sustainable, and as a homesteader. These are good books that we personally have, that we're trying to do all the reading and all the research that we possibly can. Let's jump into a great list today of books that you should be purchasing and making sure you have just in case you ever need to reference them. When we don't have the internet, when we don't have our phones, what other ways can we find this information? It's in books. So let's jump into some books that you need to purchase for your prepper's pantry and for your prepper's library to make sure you are ready for just about anything. Let's jump into it today. Guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so much for being here. It's actually been raining here in South Mississippi. We've got the cows moved, chores are done, so that's good. If it rains, it's okay. Just a reminder, remember, we're gonna be giving away a legacy food storage kit, a huge kit of freeze-dried foods for you for safety. If you wanna know how to sign up, it's in the last video. All you have to do is be subscribed to this channel, tell us that you wanna enter the giveaway, jump over to the other new channel that's behind the scenes, the Max Life, subscribe there, and also put that you are in the giveaway. It's all in the last video, but this is going to be a great giveaway. We're going to give it away in next video, which will be Wednesday. If the crap hits the fan and we don't have technology, we don't have the grid, we don't have a way to access information, we can Google it or whatever it may be that you're using to find information. What can we do? So let's jump into some books that we personally have in our prepper's library, but also we reference these all the time. I'm going to give you a few that Misty references all the time, and I'm going to give a few that I reference all the time. That way we can always be ready for any situation, no matter what comes. So let's jump into the list. Well, that didn't last long outside. It actually started raining, so we had to move under the porch. So these are not in any particular order, but let's jump into the first one. Number one. It would be Bushcraft Survival. Now, the book that I have is called Bushcraft 101. A lot of these things that we have learned over time, it's good to have to kind of go back and say, okay, let me refresh myself on some of these things. Things like tying knots, things like what kind of trees we should be looking for shelter. This is very relevant for us because we live in an area with a lot of forest and a lot of areas that we could go in the wilderness if we ever had to. Now, this may not particularly interest you. If it's not bushcraft survival, such as wilderness, they make certain books for certain areas that deal with still survival in the outdoors. So you need to look towards that. It's a very good read. It's very good to have as a refresher. I keep my bushcraft and wilderness survival books, I keep them actually in my bug out bag. If we're going on a vacation, or if we're going out of town, or if we're in the car at all, or in my truck at all, that book is pretty much with us at all times because it stays in our bug out bag. It's just one of those things I'd like to have as a refresher just in case I ever needed to. I can't look on the internet, remember. This book is a good one for outdoors. I think you need to add to your library. Number two would be a farmer's almanac. Now, it doesn't matter what year. A lot of times they are based on years such as 2023, 2022. If you want to buy one every year, they're literally, they're $8, $8 or $9 per year. So if you want to buy a new one every year, that would be great. But it helps you understand planning a little bit more in depth. Maybe the seasons and how the weather has done and how it affected you. Maybe you did bad on growing something this year and you need to grow better next year. This book has a lot of information about growing. If you're not growing gardens, that's okay. It still is very relevant because it may help you along the way if you ever pick up seeds or ever move, or you ever get in an area where you realize, what zone am I in? How can I grow? What's the best way to grow? How should I plan if it's supposed to rain next week? Just to give you some ideas there. We actually have an older farmer's almanac. I keep saying I'm gonna buy one every year. We just don't. It's probably a good practice to do. Again, $8. I may just go and order one now. It's very good for reference, especially if you're growing gardens. Farmer's Almanac would be number two. Number three is one of Misty's favorite. It's actually called The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. A lot of times you ask about herbs and how Misty does tinctures, or how she finds plants that she likes and what she wants to grow. Everything that we grow out here in this big kitchen garden that's beside me, it really deals with a lot of this book and how we can understand herbs, understand foods that we're growing that not just to ingest as food. We can look at them as ways that we can treat our bodies and natural remedies, natural medicines. So the Lost Book of Herbal Remedies is excellent. It's wrote by Claude Davis and Nicole Pellion. You'll see her name a lot more in these books that's coming up. Misty's really fell in love with a lot of her books because they have a lot of knowledge in them, and we'll jump into those a little bit more. But number 3, the Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. It's a great book to have. I actually enjoy going out, and me and Misty will use it and be able to kind of identify what we're looking at. And it's so easy to do that on Google, so easy to do that on a computer. But if all of a sudden we can't, we need to learn to reference these books, and this is a great book for that. Number 4 would be Survival Medicine or a First Aid Survival book. This is the one we personally have. Now, it doesn't have to be this one. There's actually a few that are military based that a lot of times our military would maybe have out in the fields. Those are very good books too. And you will notice some of these books will overlap in certain topics, but they don't touch everything in each book. So this would be a good option to have. You don't actually have to buy the one that I have, but you need to be looking for a first aid survival book. Something that can help you understand when you start building up first aid, when you start doing certain things and how you can treat yourself. What are some of the things that you're needing? So this would be good to have. Now, this is not going to make you a doctor. Please understand that. But this could get you out of a very serious situation, especially if you don't have access to a hospital, or you're needing to get to a hospital, or you're needing to get to some kind of doctor. Having some kind of survival first aid book for a prepper is very, very good. I told you you'd be seeing her name a lot. This is going to be in the Nicole Pellion book, Forager's Guide to Wild Foods. This is one of Misty's new books. We actually used it a few months ago in a video that's on this channel. I'll link it below. But we found out how to use some of the actual natural foraging elements and the natural weeds, quote unquote weeds, that were growing on our grounds. We ended up finding so much. And guess what we did? Typically, someone would weed eat these down. Typically, someone would round up these. Typically, you don't want to see them around your property because they're a nuisance. To be honest with you, we started digging those up. We started putting them closer to our home because it allowed us to see these wild foods. Not only can they be beneficial to eat and to give us all the nutrients and vitamins that we may be needing, especially if we're in a situation where the crap hits the fan, but more than that, some of these are medicinal. So we can go back to some of these herbal remedies and try to find foraging options the same way we have herbs planted right here in the garden. So now we can forage for some, and then we can also grow some that are domesticated basically right around the house. Both of those things are good, and so we use those two books hand in hand. One for more, this is what we're growing. One for more, this is what we're foraging and maybe bringing it home, or we're going out to forage and bring back to our home to do something with, to build a tincture, but a forager's guide to wild foods. A great, great book. Side note, Misty's actually doing a lichen tincture, and she's going to show you how to do that. I don't know when it's going to be coming out, but be looking for that. It's just a way that she has taken lichen, and she learned it from this book, and then it allowed her to then put it into practice, and we foraged it, and then it came back to our house, and now we're making a tincture out of it. Number 6 would be an atlas or a map. Now this goes a little in depth here. I think you need to have this as a reference for later use. If you're ever in a situation where you're out of state, we keep a state map and a US map basically in our car. So we can see roads that if all of a sudden our GPS goes down, all of a sudden we have to get to another vicinity, or we're trying to find out where we're at and we don't have cell phone service. It's always good to have that anyways. But now let's say, for instance, we're in a situation and a crisis takes place, and we don't know where we're at. We've relied on our phones, we've relied on our GPS, and now we're completely lost. Well, it's good to have some maps in reference. Now, along with that bushcraft survival book that I keep in our bug out bag, I also keep these maps in our bug out bag as well. I keep two forms. I keep a state map, so our state, and that gets down to some more country roads, some real rural areas where we can go around certain areas if we ever wanted to, some county areas. Also, I keep a bigger map, a United States map that kind of breaks it down into the states. Now, that means it's not as detailed, but it allows me to know kind of where I'm at, or what vicinity I'm going to go in, or where do I need to go next. If I'm going to a certain state, for instance, we're going to Oklahoma in June, we may find state maps that are a little bit more detailed just in case. So there's some options there. You're always going to certain areas. It'd be good to have a map just based on that location. But look at local maps, look at state maps, look at a US map. Those are all very good to have and reference, because you never know when you may not have your GPS. It's always good to have a compass with those books. I keep those in my bug out with that survival book. It's very good to have. Number 7 would be our Bible. We believe in having our Bible with us at all times. No matter where we're going, we have a version of it. We honestly believe this is our roadmap for life. As a prepper, as a sustainable person, as someone who is looking for stewardship, it teaches us so much. We're Christians, so we're a Christian family, we're faith-based. No matter what we go through, of all the books that we have, the one we want to reference the most is our Bible. So the last book in this list, of course, is our Bible, because it's very, very vital to the way we live our lives. Now, say you don't believe in the Bible, I still think you should get one or get a devotion. Learn to read it. It can be uplifting to you. And I would challenge you, read it for 30 days. Read a little passage every day for 30 days. If you don't feel like it has helped you any, if you don't feel like it's done anything for you, okay, put it down. But I believe it's going to do a lot for you if you give it a try. Try reading Psalms and Proverbs. Those are good wisdom-seeking Bible books that will allow you not to feel like you're getting in the weeds of understanding religion. It's not about religion. It's about the Bible. And as a Christian, I believe that that is the ultimate book that we would put in our prepper's library. I think it's great to have. Not only do we want to take care of ourselves physically, we have to take care of ourselves mentally and spiritually, and the Bible is perfect for that. So I challenge you to pick up these books, pick up the Bible, and that will help you get through any situation you're going through, like what we talked about first with physical. We need to physically take care of ourselves. We need to mentally take care of ourselves. We need to medically take care of ourselves. We need to learn how to feed ourselves when we not have internet. And then ultimately, spiritually, we need to heal ourselves and make sure we're ready to go through anything that we could face. These 7 books would be great to have. I will put a link to each one of these books. I'm not sponsored or affiliated with any of these books, or any of these authors, but these are some of the books that we personally like, we have in our prepper's reference library. They would be great to have. Now, say for instance you can't purchase any of these. As I talked about earlier with the Bushcraft book, there's one we have called a survival handbook, called a SAS survival handbook. It kind of gives a little bit of everything, a lot of these topics, and it just gives you kind of an overview of each one of them. It's not as in detail as some of these. So check out that SAS handbook. Also, there's a book called The Old Ways. That's another really good book. I actually have the book, I think that's the name, but here it is right here. If I got that wrong, that's another good book. If you can't pick up all these, those 2 books would be good to say, you know what, I want to pick them up and just have those as reference. But please try to pick these up. Try to pick up the maps. Try to understand what you're reading, and understand literature is a good thing that we can look over. And ultimately, I believe the Bible would be topmost. I do believe you need to start reading that. Building a devotion or quiet time a day, it will really help you as you go through this life that we live. We're in a stressful, anxiety-filled world right now, dealing with wars and all the junk. As a prepper and as a sustainable homesteader, raising a family, out of all these books I reference the Bible more than all of them. So check these books out. Add these to your prepper's library. I think that you will not go wrong with these 7 books and maybe some of these others just all in one books if you can't get these right now. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember the giveaway. Go check out that video so you know how to get in the giveaway. We're going to be giving it away next video. And I looked it up. It's about $300 value that I'm going to be giving away to one of our subscribers. So make sure you check that video out. And thank you so much for watching. Always supporting us. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Let us know what you think in the comments. If you have any that you would add to this list. Thank you again for watching. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.